The rain came down in sheets that night, the kind that makes you question every choice that led you to be outside in it. Sarah Mitchell stood under the flickering streetlight on Fifth Avenue, her cardboard sign sagging in her trembling hands, the words "anything helps" bleeding into illegibility. She was invisible. That's what 3 years on the streets had taught her, that people could look right through you as if you were made of glass. But tonight was different. Tonight someone saw her. Emma Rodriguez had been running, late for her daughter's school play for the 3rd time that month. As a single mother working 2 jobs, days at the hospital as a nurse and nights doing medical transcripts from home, she was always running late, always exhausted, always one step behind where she needed to be. The rain had turned her usual 15-minute drive into a crawling nightmare of red taillights and honking horns. Her phone buzzed incessantly with texts from her sister. "Where are you?" "Lily keeps looking for you. She's up in 10 minutes. Emma's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight her knuckles went white. She'd promised Lily she'd be there. After missing the spring recital and the parent-teacher conference, she'd sworn this time would be different. But here she was, stuck in traffic, watching the clock tick away another broken promise. That's when she saw her, a silhouette beneath the streetlight. So still she almost seemed like part of the urban furniture. Something made Emma look twice. Maybe it was the way the woman's shoulders curved inward, as if she were trying to disappear into herself. Maybe it was the recognition of defeat in another person's posture. Something Emma had felt countless times in her own bones. The light turned green. Cars behind her honked. Emma's phone lit up again with another text from her sister. Lily's play was starting in 8 minutes, but Emma's hands moved before her mind could catch up, yanking the wheel to the right, pulling into the gas station parking lot adjacent to where the woman stood. She didn't know why she did it. Later, she'd wonder about that moment 1,000 times. What invisible thread had pulled her toward this stranger when everything rational screamed at her to keep driving? Emma grabbed the umbrella from her passenger seat, her half-eaten turkey sandwich from lunch, and the $20 bill she'd tucked in her console for emergencies. "Hi," Emma said, approaching slowly. "The way you might approach a wounded animal. I saw you standing here in the rain." Sarah looked up, and Emma saw eyes that held the kind of exhaustion that goes beyond physical tiredness, a weariness that had settled into her soul. She couldn't have been more than 40, but the streets had aged her in ways that made guessing impossible. "I'm okay," Sarah said automatically, the default response of someone who'd learned that admitting need often led to rejection or worse. "I know you don't know me," Emma continued, holding out the umbrella, "but nobody should be standing in this rain. Please take this, and this sandwich. It's turkey and cheese, nothing fancy, but it's food." Sarah stared at the offerings, as if they were written in a language she'd forgotten how to read. Her hand shook as she reached out, not quite touching the umbrella, as if testing whether it was real or would vanish like so many other almost kindnesses. "Thank you," she whispered, and the words cracked something inside Emma's chest. Emma pulled out the $20 bill, pressing it into Sarah's free hand. "I wish I had more. I wish I could do more." That's when Sarah did something unexpected. She looked directly into Emma's eyes, really looked at her and said, "You stopped." That's more than most people do their whole lives. Emma felt tears prick her eyes, and she couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the stress of the past months catching up to her, or maybe it was the strange grace in this encounter, this moment of connection between 2 women who were both fighting battles the world couldn't see. "What's your name?" Emma asked. Sarah Mitchell. "And before you ask, yes, I had a life before this. Had a daughter, too. She'd be about college age now, if things had gone different." Sarah's voice was steady, factual, as if she were recounting someone else's story. Emma's heart clenched. "I have a daughter, Lily. She's 9, and I'm supposed to be at her school play right now. I'm late, and I'll probably miss the whole thing." But she stopped, realizing how that sounded. Like she was comparing her problems to Sarah's, diminishing them both. But Sarah smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. "Then why are you standing here talking to me? Go be with your daughter." "I will, but here." Emma scribbled her phone number on a receipt from her purse. "I work at Mercy General Hospital. If you need anything, medical attention, or just, I don't know, please call me." "I mean it." Sarah took the paper, folding it carefully and tucking it into her jacket pocket with a tenderness that suggested it was precious. "Go," she said again. "Don't let her wonder where you are. Don't let her stop looking for you in the crowd." Emma ran back to her car, her heart hammering. She made it to the school with 2 minutes to spare, slipping into the auditorium just as the lights dimmed. She saw Lily on stage, scanning the audience with that desperate hope of a child looking for their parent. When their eyes met, Lily's face transformed, her smile so bright it could have lit the entire theater. Emma watched her daughter perform, but her mind kept drifting back to Sarah standing in the rain. She thought about what Sarah had said about having a daughter, about the worlds that exist between what was and what is, about all the invisible threads that connect human beings when we allow ourselves to see each other. 3 weeks passed. Emma thought about Sarah every day, wondering if she should go back to that corner, if her small gesture had made any difference at all. She'd almost convinced herself to forget about it when her phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Unknown number. "Emma?" The voice was hesitant, raw. "This is Sarah from Fifth Avenue. I didn't know if I should call." "Sarah, are you okay? Where are you?" "I'm outside Mercy General. I'm sick, I think really sick. But I don't have insurance, and I know they'll just..." "Stay there. I'm coming down." Emma worked the night shift that week, and she'd just started her rounds. "Stay right where you are." Emma found Sarah slumped against the hospital's side entrance, feverish and barely conscious. She didn't hesitate, didn't wait for permission or protocol. She wheeled Sarah inside herself, got her admitted through the ER, called in favors from doctors she'd worked with for years. Sarah had pneumonia, advanced and dangerous. Without treatment, she wouldn't have lasted another 48 hours. During the 3 days Sarah spent in the hospital, Emma visited whenever her schedule allowed. They talked, really talked, and Emma learned about the cascade of losses that had led Sarah to that corner: a divorce, a job loss, a daughter who chose her father's stability over her mother's chaos, medical bills from an earlier illness that devoured everything, and finally, inevitably, the streets. "I used to be a teacher," Sarah said on the second day, her voice stronger now that the antibiotics were working. "4th grade. I loved those kids, loved watching them figure out who they were going to be." She paused. "I never thought I'd end up someone people look away from." "I see you," Emma said simply. "I've always seen you." On the day Sarah was discharged, Emma had news. She'd spoken to the hospital's social services department, called a friend who ran a women's shelter with transitional housing programs, and reached out to a nonprofit that helped homeless individuals reconnect with family when possible. There was a bed waiting for Sarah and a caseworker ready to help her navigate back toward stability. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah asked, tears streaming down her face. "You don't even know me." Emma thought about that question. She thought about Lily scanning the audience, about broken promises and kept ones, about the way we all stand in the rain sometimes waiting for someone to see us. "Because someone saw me once when I was drowning." After my husband left, after I thought I couldn't possibly do it all. Alone, a nurse at the hospital, where I worked, stopped and asked if I was okay. She didn't fix everything. She couldn't. But she saw me. And that made the difference between giving up and holding on. Sarah reached out and took Emma's hand. "What was her name?" "That nurse?" Emma smiled. "Her name was Grace Patterson. I never forgot her. Never will." "I won't forget you either," Sarah said. "Emma Rodriguez, the woman who stopped." 6 months later, Emma received a letter at the hospital. It was from Sarah, who was now living in a subsidized apartment and had started volunteering at a literacy program for at-risk youth. But the letter wasn't just about her updates. Enclosed was a photograph of Sarah standing outside an elementary school, wearing professional clothes, holding a certificate. She'd completed her recertification process and had been hired as a substitute teacher. The letter read, "Dear Emma, you taught me that being seen is the first step toward being saved. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm no longer invisible. Today I saw a little boy sitting alone at lunch, trying to make himself small. I sat with him. I saw him. This is how we change the world, one person at a time, one moment of kindness at a time. You didn't just save my life. You reminded me why my life was worth saving. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for seeing me. With more gratitude than words can hold, Sarah. Emma pinned the letter to the bulletin board in the nurse's station, and when colleagues asked about it, she told them Sarah's story. Some listened with tears in their eyes. Others nodded, remembering their own moments of being seen or seeing someone else. The night after receiving the letter, Emma tucked Lily into bed and told her about the woman in the rain, about the choice to stop, about how small acts of humanity ripple outward in ways we can't always predict or measure. "Mom," Lily said sleepily, "will you teach me how to see people like that? How to know when to stop?" Emma kissed her daughter's forehead. "You already know, sweetheart. You learned it the night I almost missed your play but showed up anyway. You learned it every time. You've watched me choose kindness, even when it's inconvenient. You're already learning." That night, Emma dreamed about an endless line of people standing in the rain, each one holding an umbrella for the person behind them, an unbroken chain of humanity stretching across the city, across the country, across the world. And at the front of that line stood Sarah Mitchell, no longer invisible, no longer alone, holding her umbrella high and calling back to those behind her, "Keep going. Someone sees you. Someone is coming. You are not invisible." Sometimes the most profound changes in our lives come not from grand gestures or elaborate plans, but from the simple decision to stop when everything tells us to keep moving. In that moment of connection, when one human being truly sees another, we remember what it means to be human. We remember that none of us are truly separate, that we're all just people trying to find our way home through the rain, waiting for someone to notice we're standing there. And sometimes, being that someone who stops, who sees, who cares, that's everything.